But as you guys know, we're now in sort of COVID time right now. We have to be a little bit more careful about those personal events. So we started to host these events virtually. So you guys are participating in one of our first years doing virtual events with Microsoft. So welcome and thank you guys for joining us. A little bit more about myself. I'm super excited about this event because we have members from the Halo team, 343 Industries, that will be presenting here shortly. I'm an avid Halo player. I actually grew up playing Halo. I was pretty good at Halo as well, so I'm excited about Halo Infinite, which I believe is coming soon. But yeah, so I'm super. This is like one of the most exciting events for me personally. With my background as a software engineer, I remember many times playing the game with my friends, saying, "Man, what if we could work on this product? You know, wouldn't it be cool?" So here I am today presenting the team that's hiring and that works on these products. So now the opportunity for you guys is to just basically learn everything you can about the Microsoft Xbox gaming team this evening. Be prepared to submit your resume and your information if you'd like to land an interview after this event. And just ask questions in the chat during the presentations. You can actually type in your questions in the chat. But like I said, make sure to do us a favor and keep your audio and video off, and we'll defer the audio and video to the Microsoft team. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to our first speaker, Pierre Henson.
Hello. Hi. I hope everyone can hear me all right. So I wanted to start to say thank you very much for giving me the chance to speak to you. It's still mind-boggling for me how my career, my life has evolved. I mean, considering I was born behind the Iron Curtain to an East German mother and a Nigerian father, that alone is hours and hours of conversation. Here I am sitting in sunny Seattle for a change, talking to a group of students who are hopefully going to come onto the journey with us and building the next generation of leaders and representatives of us and who we are in our industry. I'm going to jump in a little bit what I'm actually doing every day. I'm currently still the executive producer on MCC, which is the Master Chief Collection. I'm also the head of Halo Publishing, and I'm a member of the 343 Industry Executive Leadership Team. The reason why I'm saying current, because I'm in a dual role as well. I'm also the acting lead of Infinite Multiplayer Free-to-Play, which puts me in a situation where I'm splitting my responsibilities, but for all intents and purposes and simplicity, I just want to talk about those three pieces right now. You want to jump in? So MCC, I really hope that you guys are still playing this game, simply because I had the pleasure to work on it for the last nearly 3 years. I joined Microsoft Xbox 3 years ago, and that team has been the most phenomenal team I had the pleasure to work on and work with. My role here as an executive producer starts with some
lost them.
Someone muted me. That's okay. That's okay. Let's roll with this. Let's do this again. No, working in the industry for about over 20 years, and ending up at Xbox and ending up at one of those really treasured IPs, which Halo is a dream come true. We consider MCC to be the Catholic Church of Halo, because what we're reflecting is the Halo 1 till Halo 4, and a large portion of our portfolio is based on what Bungie created there. So we've been told on a daily basis, don't mess with it. So, but that's an interesting challenge to face. So I dive a little bit into the glamorous life of an executive producer, or the lack of it. What you see on the left-hand side is a war room of my team, where we will spend on average 10 hours a day. I'm trying to be optimistic here, for 7 days, focusing on the game when we launch one of our games as part of the MCC portfolio. So this particular war room is from Halo 2. The objectives there is really monitoring the performance of the game, addressing issues, communicating with our fans directly. This is the bread and butter. Again, when I say a producer, the main reason a producer is effective and should be effective is based on servitude, is exactly a perfect moment there. This is a conglomerate of people who are subject matter expert in their specific areas, and my job is to empower them to actually really take off and can do the best work they can do. The middle period, the middle image is E3 last year, and that is a level setter for me every time. We showed MCC at E3, and I was on the floor with my team, and a gentleman walks up to me, he was about, I don't know, 25 years old, and goes, "Thank you very much for making Halo." And I was like, I'm flattered, but I'm more like a stalwart, and talk to these guys here. They are making it every day. And he goes, no, there's a context to it. I was a victim of bullying for the longest time. And I had, and this is a true story, I swear, I was standing on the floor and I'm like, okay. And I was contemplating to take my own life. And this started to get concerned, and he goes, yeah. I was setting the date on my next birthday, and a couple of days before my birthday, these bullies invited me over to their home and continued bullying me. And I saw in the background a game being played, and it was Halo. So while they were doing this, I was saying, hey, can I give it a try? And they were sure, it's just more opportunity for them to ridicule me. And I played it. I'd never played this game, and I absolutely wiped the floor with them. And I was never ever bullied again. So this is a true story. So imagine I'm standing there 2 years in my Halo stint, and I go, the responsibility, but also being in touch with somebody who made a life-changing impact for it. That was amazing, and is fulfilling every day. The picture with me on the bottom right is the glamorous life as a head of publishing. It means you had to travel until COVID quite a bit. That was my last trip in the winter to Russia. It's a dumb idea. Napoleon thought it's a dumb idea. The Germans thought it's a dumb idea. I can confirm to you it's a dumb idea. It is cold. But then you have little highlights in this sort of non-glamorous life where you go to the hospitality suite at Laguna Seca and you run into this gentleman, which hopefully all of you Americans know who this is. And yes, he was a very kind and nice person, and we had a great conversation, and yeah, it was totally worth the trip. Moving on. So obviously you ask yourself, how did I get here? I have 3 points here from Worldwide Soccer 97 to Madden, from PlayStation to Xbox, mentorship, skill, and hard work. Let's jump right into the next slide. I'd be shocked if anyone on this call here was alive when these games were released. And there's a very clear purpose for this. When you start, they're all good games, trust me. But when you start your career as a producer, your main focus and your main responsibility is your team and the game you build with that team. In that order, your team and the game you built with that team. So we have a little scale from associate producer to producer, from producer to senior producer, from senior producer to executive producer. And I'm simplifying this quite greatly here, but associate producer, everyday business. You look to the end of the day because that's what you handle. That's what your experience level allows you to handle. Producer, every week, multiple weeks if you can, because that's from a business perspective what your experience level allows you to handle. Senior producer, now we're talking in months. So you're handling your business and project that business in a monthly cadence. Executive producer, we're talking a year out. So what I'm trying to say is your growth is reflected in the areas of responsibilities you take over and the greater level of strategic and business thinking you have to apply. Jumping to the next slide. Going back to that point when I said, when I started my career 20 odd years ago, working for Sega of Europe, everything was focused for me on games. The further and further I graduated through my career, I realized not only games, it is platforms. When it goes from platforms, this is where we deliver our experience to people. And right now is such an exciting time for me because we are now again at a transition, and a major transition in our industry, where we go from platforms to fulfillment portals. So the way our consumers have evolved from what you see in the top left, again, none of you guys were born, it's a Sega Genesis, where we were impressed that we had 8-bit graphics and put the cartridge in and run it, and had platform battles with SNES. I'm sorry, with Nintendo. I'm trying to avoid the abbreviation here. When we were wiped out by a PlayStation, and then Xbox came along. So these cycles were very predictable. Right now, exciting time. I think we are the last one of those cycles, because our consumers already said, I want to consume my games wherever I am, whenever I want to, without any restrictions. So, and that brings you into the world of xCloud. I feel my echo. So somebody is unmuted. I apologize.
Make sure.
Okay, I unmute myself again. That brings us in the world of xCloud, Steam, Epic stores, like storefronts where you can get access to the content you like and consume it. None of these journeys which I described would be possible, in my opinion, without mentorship and help and opportunity. And that really makes it so significant for me, because I really feel like this is my opportunity to give back. But you want to jump to the next slide? Which leads me straight in why Xbox. I left the story, or use the story a lot when I talk about Xbox. We are an industry leader, that's fair enough. We have exceptional growth opportunities, that's also great. We have great benefits. Commitment to D&I and employee research groups, and we are a platform for people. We're allowing people to be a platform. These points, I'm going to speak a little bit to these points individually, but the most important point is, and what I really experienced at Xbox, is the focus on people, and the focus on developing people in the right way. Connected to the previous slides where I talked about my journey, when I joined Xbox, the person I report to, which is Bonnie Ziegler, she is head of franchise and head of 343 Industry. She's a very invested person. So she sends me this email and goes, and that was the first time that I've seen her coy. And sends me this email and said, like, I don't know what you self-identify. We have LGBT groups here. We have all these ERGs, but we also have a group here called Blacks at Xbox. So, and I first opportunity that I can troll her. So I replied back, I don't self-identify as an African American, but I'm an African European, and that messes with the census here. And the point that I'm trying to make, she invested into my development, because until this point, I was in organizations which were incredibly successful. I was very proud to be a member of them, but I came to a point in my career where I wanted to do more, where I wanted to have a purpose for others, other than me. And her introducing me into this group really changed the level of effectiveness I feel I have in the industry, in my day-to-day interactions, in my team, and in every aspect, like when I speak here as a keynote speaker. I mean, you can jump to the next slide that I can give you a little bit of insight. Very shortly after I joined, we were on a business trip with Phil and a whole bunch of executives from Xbox to Africa to understand the market opportunity there, but also to celebrate the arrival of Xbox/Microsoft in those markets. We went to Kenya, where we opened a design center, and to Lagos in Nigeria, where we opened a design center. And it was full circle. Until that point, I'd never been back home, like the Africans refer to their home countries. My dad is an Igbo. That makes me an Igbo. Coming into Nigeria and experience Lagos and experience the different side of my life was incredibly fulfilling, but also really empowering, because for the first time in my life, I was in an environment where every single person was Black, which was an amazing experience for me. And also where I felt I have a purpose, because I had been exposed for over 20 years to a highly competitive world with a highly sought after skill set. And I felt for the first time I can actually give back actively. So we had numerous meetings with business leaders, with university leaders, and other members of the economy there, to talk about what the opportunities are. And me specifically being chosen to represent the gaming aspect of it was incredibly fulfilling. Again, in no other org and no other company I have worked in, I would have gotten that chance. On the right hand side, on the right top, is Hill Harper. He is a keynote speaker for the global group Blacks at Microsoft, and at our 30-year anniversary. And the reason why I wanted to put him in there is I felt he said something, and I'm paraphrasing here, to the extent which resonated with me, being a Black German, which made a ton of sense in my head, especially in times like we live right now, where social justice is a very, very hot topic, and we need to find our voices. He gave me, in that particular moment, as a man of mixed descent, a very clear voice. He said, none of the social justice movement from back in the days till now would have been possible without the support of white people working with us. And that was, for me, one of the key pieces to take away. Having joined a company which is predominantly white, and you can go to the last slide, which is predominantly white, I need that group of people you can see here, minus Trevor Noah, have more of us there, so that we can build the future for a whole generation of showing up in places where we normally wouldn't show up. So thank you very much for your time. And like I said, with Nelson Mandela's quote, it is always seems impossible until it's done.
So Pierre, before I hand it over to Paige Gorman, I have one question for you, just to give the candidates context. Can you explain your role, and then, because there's directors, there's principals. Can you explain your role in the hierarchy that leads up to your role?
I'm serving a large team of individual contributors, and I'm trying my best to lead that team. The breakdown there is directors are part of my leadership team. Leads and senior producers are part of my leadership team. And within the studio, my main focus is leading the production and development to hit our goals, to hit our schedule goals, and empowering them to do their best work. In the hierarchy, I'm a direct report to the head of franchise, Barney Ross. So that's what I was trying to hint when I said I'm part of the 343 executive leadership team.
Excellent. Appreciate it. So without further ado, I appreciate you kind of keynoting for us and bringing us along. I'm going to skip forward to our next speaker, who is Paige Gorman. And Paige is the Director of Gaming Operations. So Paige, if you're ready to present, I appreciate it. And remember, for all of the candidates, please don't try to share your screen or anything like that. Please keep yourself on mute and turn off your video. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's great
Greetings.
to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to represent the division that I'm working in, which is Xbox Product Services. As Will mentioned, I'm the director of the Office of Xbox Gaming Operations. And I hope you can hear me okay. We have a little noise right now. I am also the
Paige, you're on mute.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Paige Gorman. I'm the Director of Office of Gaming Operations in Xbox Product Studios. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I play another role, which is University Recruiting Champ for XPS. Next slide, please. Our aspiration in XPS, Xbox Product Services, is the pursuit of empathy to deliver on gamer happiness. And in functional terms, what that means is we're looking to play a role in enriching the gamer's experience across the entirety of the ecosystem, which is a unique view because we're able to look across all of the gaming teams as well as other key partners in the experience, such as Azure, and really put that customer journey at the center of everything that we do. Next slide, please. So among those teams in XPS, this is a look at the leadership team. We have 6 teams that are really focused on building blocks to remove friction in the gamer's experience and to look at where we can delight them along their end-to-end journey. And when we come together, we're really able to deliver on customer obsession and create that inclusive ecosystem for everyone. Again, our goal is the aspiration of our gamers' happiness in their experiences playing, and whatever that means to reduce things that get in the way of that gaming experience. And if you can, next slide, please. I'll look at the actual teams now. So, can you see my slides?
You can see them, Paige.
You can. Okay, I can't. So, all right. So, well, I can't see my slides, but I'm going to go ahead and just riff this the best that I can. So this is a build slide, and I can't see it, so I'm not sure. When you start to click, it's going to just run through each of those teams in quick order. So I'm just going to give a really high-level description of each of those 6 teams. Okay, so it's not going to do that. All right. Gaming Operations is the team that I'm on, and that's a team that is if you click on that very first block, it should zoom in and out.
Okay.
And if it's not doing that, then
Yeah. Xbox Gaming Operations.
Okay. There we go. And it should zoom in and out. I can't see my slides, so just bear with me. And so that's the team I'm on. And really, we're keeping the lights on. All of those systems need to keep running with concurrency, live site, reliability, compliance, COGS, supportability, and so forth. The next team is Research and Design, and they are there to look at players' unmet needs and unarticulated needs, analyze player signals and insights, and really deliver those back into the rest of the team so that we can make good decisions about how to enrich the gamer's experience, what they see, they hear, and they touch. The next team is the Xbox community team. This is a more newly formed team that came together, a combination of Xbox Live teams and our safety team and our community teams. And together, their role is to create a most inclusive and safe community platform for our members to feel and our gamers to feel that they can play, have fun, and not feel a toxic environment. The customer experience team, CXT, it's really there to eliminate anything that gets in the way of the gamer having a good experience because they have to report a problem, to take care of that problem and get them back into gaming as quickly as possible. And the last team is GDS, Gaming Data Services, and they're really there to provide the data, the tools, the AI and ML models to really help us with our seeking the gamer happiness and great engagement across all of our endpoints. I'll pause there and just say I wanted to mention that I started at Microsoft in 1991. I graduated from university in 1990. I went to Nintendo for a year, and then I came up to Microsoft, and I started in the team that developed the Africa, India, Middle East subsidiaries, and developed our operations out there in the early 90s before we had our offices. I spent most of my career doing global business strategy and operations from Microsoft.com and building the first set of international, globalized, localized sites. I spent a decade managing or leading the geopolitical policy in a team called Global Readiness. And then more recently, I was able to actually contribute to the Africa Development Center effort by co-authoring with others a white paper for our senior leadership team to make the case, as well as standing up a Hack for Africa, where we seeded engineering projects into the region for to stand up real capabilities to develop those in markets. So, and now I'm in Xbox for the last couple of years. That's what I have for you. Sorry, my slides were a little sloppy. They weren't. So it happens.
No, I think we just had some technical. It was just moving on and off of the focus. But hopefully everybody was able to see the slides. So thank you, Paige. We appreciate it. And just if you could reiterate your title and your role.
I am the director of the Office of Gaming Operations in Xbox Product Services, which is kind of like a chief of staff role. And then the other part of my role is the Xbox Product Services University Recruiting Champ.
Excellent. We appreciate your time and thanks for presenting.
Thank you for having.
Absolutely. So our next presenter is Lucene. So Lucene, if you're ready, Lucene is a part of the principal group engineering as an engineering manager.
Hello, everyone. I'm ready, Bill. Maybe you should just jump directly to the next slide. And hello, everyone. This is so great to have this opportunity, although it's remotely, but I feel everyone like it's a big group, big community all together and going through this and looking forward for panel discussion, answering your questions as well. I'm Lucine, as Bill told, Group Engineering Manager from Gaming GDX organization. GDX is Gaming Developer Experiences, where our vision is empower game creators to realize their games. It's a huge set of the services you can imagine, from multiplayer, party, lobby, ingestion and configuration services where developers use for their configuration for Xbox ecosystem, as well as huge set of the services for backend services for game developers to run their game, create, iterate, run their game on any platform they want. And those services include monetization, analytics, multiplayer servers, as I told. I'm a group engineering manager leading engineering feature teams. My teams specifically are very focused on data ingestion, data collecting, insights, analytics, billing systems, as well as centralized UX experiences across all our team, UX framework, as well as isolation, configuration, and publishing pipelines for Xbox ecosystem, as I mentioned. I am 7 years in Microsoft. I have been different part of the gaming organization. I started from 2013 in Xbox One launch times. Honestly, that was a time I remember with huge responsibility, lots of pressure, accountability, but also lots of fun. That was a warm welcome for me to gaming organization. And you can see I'm still here. That was a great welcome project. I have been individual contributor, different part of the gaming, dev lead, now group engineering manager. I'm personally from Armenia, from Yerevan. Just a little about me. Top 3 things I like is working, chocolates, and playing tennis many hours every day, as much as I can. A specific quote I highlighted in this slide is about culture. And especially I want to share this with you, with this community. There are lots of opinions how we create culture, how we build the culture, how we live our culture, and how much time we spend on that. I personally feel we spend lots of hours, big part of our life at work, and planned or not, all companies and all teams have their culture. And it's all on us. Why not to create the culture where we like to live our many hours of the day, many hours of the work, and love. Will, can you click to the next slide, please? And this is the slide specifically. I wanted to focus on the hiring, this is like strategically important part of Microsoft. Everyone, like not only manager, but every single person in the Microsoft community, because I personally think this is how we keep our organization, how our community live, healthy, like embraced, like they even getting better. Like this is how we bring new voices, new mindset, new opinions, new skill sets. This is how we build our community and make our community even better. The specific quote, which is not only like how I lead or drive my team, this is part of my strategies for hiring as well. Don't just hire to delegate, but hire to elevate. And I am sure many of you, we have like great talent in this community and looking forward to find opportunities to work with many of you. The specific quotes what I highlighted here is not only about the hiring, but this is how I work every day. I come to every day to work. This is how I work and collaborate not only in my team, but in our organization, but anyone in Microsoft. And I'm super proud that these are quotes that I believe are values of Microsoft as an organization. Microsoft is all about people. We work together, we learn together, we succeed and fail together, and we learn from failures together. Don't avoid the problem, resolve the problem. We have lots of technical challenges. We have lots of organizational challenges. We are strong together and we resolve those, learn from those and move forward. Set goals, celebrate wins and fast fail. Be accountable and keep accountable. I think this is specifically highlighted because this is one of the Microsoft top 3 values, which I'm super happy and live with this value. And this is, I believe strongly, this is one of the key part of the Microsoft success as well, and how we drive forward and how we every day become better. Results matter, the number 6 and not numbers of hours. I think this was a great example how we all together experienced and learned during last many months as well, during this remote workspace, hybrid workspace, trying to see how we all together adjust our life, each of us going through different challenges, and adjust our life, adjust our work, and still get to the results where our goal matters. Best results are coming from the decisions that are data powered. As I mentioned already, I'm also leading data services teams. It's not only how I believe we run our teams or in our organization. This is, I believe, also strongly believe these are great services we are providing our customers to make data-driven decisions and deliver, succeed, and grow together. I'm super looking forward to Q&A as well, get questions, answer, and just to go forward with Will's question, because he will ask me to repeat my role. I will go forward to do that. I am from GDX organization, from gaming developer experiences, group engineering manager in the org.
And one more question, just quickly, because I know this is like a number one question from candidates, and that is, what technologies do your teams use? What technologies, like and programming languages?
Oh, great question. Answer is not simple. Everything, from programming languages, you can think everything, like a long list starting from C#, like from the web framework technologies, React, everything what can come to your mind. Actually, we as a Microsoft, we use technologies and we use and we build on each other's success. At least in our team's example, I can tell we built on lots of technologies we have as a Microsoft built-in as a platform, starting from Azure technologies, from analytics, like I can name names, Azure Data Explorer, Event Hub, like as Azure Compute, anything that comes to your mind, but huge set of the different technologies we are using.
Excellent. So thank you for sharing your presentation, your experience. And without further ado, we'll go ahead to our next presenter, who is Gabrielle Sweet. So Gabrielle, if you're ready, Gabrielle's a software engineer on the team.
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. So hello, like Will said, I'm Gabrielle Sweet. So I am a software engineer on Xbox Game Pass. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, there's like a little more detail there. Cool. So I am an early in career software engineer. I was actually an intern before starting at Microsoft full time. I worked on identity. So I've been on my team for about 1.5 years now. So I'm still relatively new to working full time and being at Microsoft and being at Xbox in particular. But it's been a crazy time and very exciting. So I work on the Game Pass Solutions team specifically. So we own and drive development on tools, components, and services needed by Game Pass customers, meaning that we work to enable important scenarios for both internal customers, like the folks who program marketing campaigns, folks who work on console Game Pass experiences, etc., as well as external customers, so the gamers that use our products, third-party game studios, etc. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Thank you. So if you're not familiar with what Game Pass is, it's a video game subscription service. So that means for a monthly fee, Customers get access to hundreds of games in the Game Pass catalog, and they can be downloaded and played whenever they want, even offline. So if you're familiar with subscription services like Netflix or Hulu, our setup's pretty similar. Customers get access to tons of on-demand data for a monthly fee. So that includes base games. Sometimes it includes DLC, skin packs, perks, like free trials of Discord Nitro or trials for Postmates. So currently there are separate subscriptions for Game Pass for PC and Game Pass for console. And then there's also an Ultimate subscription. So that combines the console subscription, the PC subscriptions, and it also bundles Xbox Live Gold and access to xCloud for Android devices, if any of you are familiar with cloud gaming, cloud streaming. And soon it'll actually include games from EA Play also, which is very exciting. Next slide, if you wouldn't mind. Cool. So let me talk about a little bit of what my team looks for in candidates. I am not personally a hiring manager, but I am involved in the hiring process, and I've talked to a ton of hiring managers around gaming and specifically within my team. So to start with the first point, we really need candidates who are flexible and able to pivot to new goals. So if you haven't heard of Game Pass before, that's because Game Pass is pretty new. It really, I had joined my team maybe just a few months after my team was started. Game Pass had only, really just started ramping up a few months prior to that. It used to actually be called another name. We started off as a really console-focused product, specifically just for like the Xbox One X and One S. But we've had to pivot our focus to include the PC platform to make sure we're bringing in all types of gamers from many, many backgrounds and different platforms. And then again, we had to pivot to include xCloud gaming for Android devices. So people on our team always have to remain flexible in order to grow our product in these ways. So for the second point, technical expertise is always great, but more than anything, we really want people who feel confident in learning new technologies quickly and asking a lot of questions. Because we're a multi-platform product, we need to understand our customers internally who work on these platforms and externally customers who either want to leverage Game Pass to put their games on our platform or for gamers who just want to subscribe to our catalog. So it means that we touch technologies and elements across a really wide breadth of the gaming organization. And it's not possible to come in or even be in gaming and be an expert on everything. So the people who tend to do really well on this team are people who just pick things up and, reach out to people, ask them the right questions, do their own research, and just try to learn as much as they can. Obviously, another really important point is customer obsession. So as an external customer product, we have to be customer obsessed. We have to think of ways to improve engagement with existing customers and excite and bring in new customers. We're constantly thinking of ways in which Game Pass intersects with other areas of the gaming organization. So like my team, even if I haven't personally worked with people from all the other teams represented here today, someone on Game Pass probably has at some point. And we really try to reach out to all sorts of teams across gaming to make our product better and just to make the experience better. So this also means that a candidate's ability to engage in cross-team collaboration is very, very important. So listening, working with customers to create solutions for them, and understanding areas of improvement, both personal or for the product, will significantly improve a candidate's success on our team. So lastly, and definitely not least importantly, we really want candidates who care deeply about making the workplace equitable and safe for everyone. So when you work on a product that touches literally millions of lives, from our subscribers to publishers to other folks at Microsoft, etc., we need to make sure we're walking the talk. There's a lot to be said about making sure a product team reflects its customers. There's tons of studies on what diverse teams look like, and how much better they tend to function than homogenous teams. But more than that, we want to be leaders of inclusion in gaming as much as possible. So this means candidates who are willing to share their opinions and thoughts, who want to understand the life experiences of others, and who will work proactively to ensure the psychological safety and well-being of their coworkers and customers. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Cool, thank you. So one thing I want to make sure that I spend some time talking about real quick is you don't need to be a gamer to, to work in gaming or to work with Game Pass. My own manager is not someone who was really into gaming until joining. She didn't ever really get into it, didn't find it particularly interesting. A variety of perspectives is always appreciated, and that means gamers and non-gamers alike. What's also a fun little tidbit about my team is that we run a weekly Twitch stream on the Xbox channel. So every Thursday we play games from our catalog, and it's just a group of people who work on Game Pass just being like, look at this cool game in our catalog. We'll play it for an hour every Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The link is there. I was participating in the stream earlier today, and you can catch me again next Thursday. So yeah, you guys should definitely tune in. It's a really fun time. And lastly, of course, there's always cool perks to working in gaming. We do get as Microsoft employees Game Pass Ultimate subscription, and then sometimes we get like free games and other stuff. So it's pretty cool. And yeah, I think that is all I have to say on Game Pass and my experiences.
Excellent. So thanks, Gabrielle. And everybody that may have questions for Gabrielle, feel free to drop questions in the chat. But without further ado, we'll move on to our next presenter, Rachel Card, if you're ready.
Hi, I am ready. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you. Yeah.
Excellent. It is so awesome to be here today. Will, thank you so much for inviting us and to the whole team at HBCU Connect. My name is Rachel Card, and you can do one click, Will. Thank you. I am currently living in Seattle. I am married to an awesome human and have two amazing kids, if I can be biased. I have had a very unique journey on my path to my current role on Team Xbox. I grew up in South Carolina. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from the University of South Carolina and a master's in mechanical engineering from MIT. And I chose engineering particularly because I believe that it teaches us how to think. It taught me at least how to analyze and solve very, very complex problems. And with that foundation, I felt like I could basically do anything I wanted to do. And so my journey has been unique because I have chosen to follow great people and work on great things. That's it. It is really that simple. I just want to have a big impact on the world. And that has led me on a really fun time. So I've done everything from help run a small game studio. Actually, we partnered with Xbox Live Arcade back in the day. To my previous job before Microsoft, I worked for the governor of South Carolina, helping to improve the public education system there and to bring jobs to, my beloved home state. And so it's been a really, really awesome time. And now I'm at Microsoft. I've been at Microsoft for 5 years. I have had multiple jobs here, which has been really, really awesome, that have challenged me or have met amazing people. And as Will said, my current job, I lead the next generation Xbox console program. So before I jump into what that is, I thought we could just set it off with a quick video. So Will, if you do 2 clicks and the video should play, please. And Will, I don't hear the sound. Do other people?
It's a little bit low, so you may have to turn the volume up.
Got it.
But it's coming through. You know what? Can everybody hear that okay?
I don't think anyone can hear it. Can you pop out and pop back in?
Yep.
And just click that Teams box.
No problem.
Thank you. The sound is so awesome. I want you all to hear it.
I'll skip forward. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
Will, that PC is muted. That might have something to do with it.
Do you want me to take over and do it for mine real quick? I have it up.
You know what? If you want, yeah, let's try that.
Good question. On that device that you're presenting, are you doing the shared video?
Yeah.
Okay. On that, so the audio on that video, the audio on that device, is it muted? The playback?
The audio playback.
So when you go down,
yeah.
when you go down to your right, you look at your speaker, right? Is it turned on?
It is.
Okay.
How about I'll pop into my deck real quick, Will, and then you can take it back after mine. Does that sound good?
Okay. Yep, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, it's picking up the microphone.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear.
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. And that you could have the power within one night to dream 75 years of time. And you would naturally, as you began on this adventure of dreams, fulfill all your wishes. But now let's have a surprise. Let's have a dream which isn't under control. And then you would get more and more adventurous. And you would make further and further out gambles as to what you would dream. And finally, you would dream where you are now.
That was pretty lit.
Thanks for with us on that. I think it might have been worth it. Hopefully you feel the same way.
Definitely.
Awesome. So perfect.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip down to your slides and then you can continue.
Sounds great.
All right.
Awesome. So some of you probably know if you've been following along on our console journey. That is the new Xbox Series X. We announced that in December at the Game Awards, and that was what that video is from. We particularly love that video because what we are doing across all of Xbox, we are anchored in this empowering gamers. We want to empower gamers all around the world. And for us, that means powering their dreams with this next generation of gaming across all of Xbox, not just the consoles. So we also have the Xbox Series S, which is the white console there. You may have seen the news recently. We just announced that. It was a bit of a secret. It is the smallest, sleekest Xbox we have ever built, and it is also next gen. So, Will, you can go ahead and do the next 3 clicks and just fill out the slide. Sorry about that. When we took a step back for this console program, and I've been on it for about 1.5 years, which a lot of the team's been on it for way longer than that. We really wanted to define a product ethos for how we think about products at Team Xbox. And for me, the modern product is that magical combination of hardware, software, and services. When you build and design those together, you create this magical moment. And really at the end of the day, especially for gaming, when you jump into Xbox, you jump into a game, the hardware fades into the background. You're not even thinking about the hardware anymore. You're thinking about what you are doing with it, who you are playing with, the experiences you're having, the world you're creating. And it is more about the experience than that actual piece of hardware. And so that ethos is core to us. And it goes directly back to what Pierre was saying earlier. In Team Xbox right now, our mission is to empower gamers to play the games they want, with the people they want, wherever they want, any device that they have. That is what we are aiming for right now. And we believe that this next generation of Xbox consoles is the flagship for this new generation. It is kind of setting the bar for us. And as a team, we are all rallied around it and leveraging this to bring gamers around the world experiences into this next generation. And so we have 4 pillars that we think about with the next generation consoles in particular. And these pillars cross everything you'll hear about today. It's not just about hardware. It is all of those things built together. And so the first one really is, that combination of hardware and software so that developers can build games we never imagined before, right? And experiences you never could have dreamed of. These are things like very, very, very fast load times. These are things like delighting you with your Game Pass catalog, right? Things you never imagined. Now you can jump in and out of games. You can try more games than ever before. Our second pillar really is about making sure that everyone who is part of the Xbox community feels welcome and feels celebrated. And that's very important for us. We want your friends to be there with you. We want everyone to be able to be the best version of themselves while they're on Xbox. We want you to have, your entire catalog over the past 3 generations come into this 4th generation of Xbox with you. That compat is really important, not just for games, but also for your accessories. All of your accessories come with you into this next generation. Those things help us all feel like this was created for each of us individually. The third one is everyday magic, right? There are moments where you are gaming that you kind of just are super, super delighted. And one that we are particularly excited about for gamers to try out is Quick Resume. You can now pop in and out of games almost instantly, multiple games, right? This is a magical feature. This is something that we think people are going to really love. Everyday magic, your phone. Your phone is your co-pilot, right? We have mobile out-of-box experience now. that is something that we believe people are really going to find delightful. It is going to help them want to be into Xbox, to be playing on consoles every day. And then the fourth one is really around developers. We could not do this without developers. We obviously have a first party, a ton of first party studios that we work very, very, very closely with, not just in designing the consoles, but how we help build tools and the gaming development kit that they use to write games. And so these are things like making sure that we are leveraging the new silicon and the ways that developers can truly become unlocked, right? They can take their imagination and their creativity anywhere now. We have set a new foundation for that with this next generation of hardware. And so this is kind of what we think about when we think about the next generation Xbox consoles. And I'm really, really honored to be leading this program for the team. Now, when we think about product making, you'll hear this theme today, and I'm so proud that, individually we all kind of say the same thing. Products are a reflection of the people who build them. That is really important to us. And so the teams that we create, the teams that we bring on are very, very critical to that. We want to represent all of the people around the world who are our fans and our customers, because then our products can serve everyone better. So if you click to the next slide, when I was asked to kind of list the things that, I personally look for when we're hiring someone for my team, this is what I think of. This is our mission at Microsoft. We are here to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. We are driven by a broader purpose. So I personally look for people who are purpose-driven, right? Are you here because you really want to change the world and you want to do something that's going to impact billions of people? Man, what an awesome responsibility we have, an opportunity we have to reach billions of gamers around the world. That is something that we all are really, really deeply excited about. Character traits like humility, character traits like compassion, character traits like being proactively inclusive, being an active listener, listening to learn. All of these things are part of what drives us at Microsoft and drives us in Team Xbox. And it may sound simple, but again, it all goes back to, creating that space where we can all do our best work, feel welcome, and build products for the world. So I'm happy to take any questions. Oh, what I do. So I'll remind you, remind all of you. Again, Rachel Card. I lead the next generation Xbox console program in Team Xbox.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate the presentation. So for anyone that has questions, make sure to drop the questions in the chat box so that we can move forward with the program. So thank you, Rachel. Next up, we have Graylin Randolph, who's a principal service engineer. Graylin, if you're ready.
I am ready. I'm fighting the sun, you guys. So if you can't see me, let me see if I can adjust a little bit. No, oh my gosh. Give me 1 second, you guys. Welcome to the remote work from remote location. Hey everybody, nice to meet you. I'm Graylin Randolph, and I'm sorry if you cannot see me. Regardless, what I first wanted to say to you guys is that I hope everyone is staying safe and well out there right now. We are living in unprecedented times, extraordinary times, and the fact that you guys are taking the time to allow us to speak to you guys is very humbling, and I appreciate that piece. There's 200 people on this call, 280 people on this call, and the fact that you're allowing me to present to you with this amazing team of Xbox folks is fantastic. Second of all, I am a principal service engineer. I am an individual contributor on side of the team of cloud gaming, also known as Project X Cloud. In the last, about month and a half, we actually just went live with our service to some select markets. And we were able to do that based on the combination of speakers that you've already heard to begin with, and many of the speakers that you're going to hear after me. My journey of about 19 years here, it'll be 20 years in about 3 or 4 months, is an interesting one. I started out in a building that focused on delivering large-scale telecommunication experiences from some of the top Fortune 100 to 500 companies on the planet. It was a journey that allowed me to actually develop skills of hardware and infrastructure distribution, how to literally build out servers, racks of servers. I would literally wait for a rack to show up. At that point in time, 42 unit racks was a thing. We would literally take servers that were from HP or Compaq. We would literally open those up, and I would see processors to RAMs to motherboards to whatever it is, stack those up in a large scale rack, and then we would run customer engagements with folks like AT&T or British Telecom or whomever worldwide, so that we could prove out our model through architectural design sessions that we were the right choice for that customer. From there, I was given an opportunity internally to grow into what Microsoft refers to as a more classic role of program management on the engineering team. And that allowed me to figure out, how do I gather requirements from customers? What are they looking for? What should I be listening to help deliver the best experience that we can as a company for them as an audience? Part of that was also learning the art of telling a story to others. So while I might gather the requirements from my customer base, my partner base, I also had to turn around and make sure that my developers and testers at that point in time understood what we were building, why we were building it, so that they could go and deliver on the how of that product or service. I've been able to use that same skill set inside of the Windows organization here, inside of the Bing organization, or display ads. I did a stint on Windows Phone, which, while the outcome of share didn't land the way we did, we actually learned a lot from not being fully successful in that product space. And then I was able to parlay that from a mobile technology and networking to a lot of the cloud-based pieces, or delivering X as a service. It could be Windows as a service, it could be product as a service, it could be a lot of things as a service, and parlay that into this team here that you see here. So that was that's sort of the brief 19-year, almost 20-year journey. Recently, I have been very deliberate and mindful about creating my own black wealth. I've expanded my property portfolio, and it's very new, and Microsoft has enabled me to be able to acquire that type of opportunity. And so that's one of the perks as well, in comparison to some of the other things that people have shared already. And then I really do love working on being the best version of myself. I also have children. I've got a 13-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son. They are my pride and joy, and I love everything about them. And so it's important for me to be as mentally prepared, spiritually prepared, emotionally prepared to deliver what I need to as a role model and as a parent for them. And part of that role model, believe it or not, I have a couple side hustles. I also teach indoor cycling to the community, because I always want to figure out how I can constantly serve others as well, as part of my own journey, which actually included a wellness and weight loss journey as of about 2-3 years ago. Next slide, Will. Okay, so really the key takeaway from this slide, you guys, is you'll often hear our head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, refer to there being approximately 3 billion gamers on the planet. If you think about that, that's a huge amount of opportunity for Microsoft or competitors to go get. We want to gain share. We want to gain mind share. And what xCloud, or cloud gaming, is there to do is enable the platform from all the people that you heard here, which a lot of times is often referred to publicly as our 3 C's: community, content, and cloud, and bringing that together so that we can deliver that end-to-end experience to make you the center of the experience, not the devices that you're used to experiencing gaming today. Today, you have a classic console, which I love, Xbox, all the stuff you heard Rachel and Pierre and Gabriel and everyone else talk about. That's amazing. But today and going forward, I want you to be the center of that. And regardless of what device you're on or what OS you're on or other mechanisms to experience your gaming, my team, which a lot of folks are actually on this call right now, are here to deliver that for you. We want to extend and complement what you see from Xbox and our title and our content base and the community that is you, and listen to you. That's what we're about. Next slide, Will. So what do I look for in people as an individual contributor? Right now, I actually look and focus on a Microsoft mindset. And that mindset, while I'm not going to cover all of these slides, and the reason you guys are seeing me pivot down to the left is I'm losing the slides for Will, but I look for a handful of things, but I really want to focus on three. The first is engineering is all about the people. That's the number one on the list for me. You've heard many people, again, already talk about that. When we talk about that, we talk about events like this. It starts with HBCU folks like you folks or other communities. It starts at the recruitment phase. It continues at the professional development phase once you get inside our company. And then we want to make sure that we're retaining you and we're growing you and you're growing us as well. We have a lot to learn from generations and very gifted individuals like yourselves. So that's the one that's most important for me. I'm actually going to skip down to number 6, which is ideal, propose, and plan. For me, that's about creativity, strategic thinking, and executing on all that. So I talked a little bit earlier about what it means to be a program manager or a service mindset. And in order to do that, there is a nice framework that we typically leverage inside this company to make sure that we're able to hit our deliverables for our partners or our ecosystem. I'm going to skip to number 9. So anyone who's ever played Hangman out there, you guys can fill in the blanks. But at the end of the day, we don't want toxic people inside the company. They destroy cultures. They do not promote the efficacy and the ethics that I've come to understand from my previous mentors or people who sponsored me. And we want that to continue to be the bridge to you folks and the future contributors inside Microsoft. And the last one, I'm big about finishing. It doesn't make sense to take a project or an assignment or task and get up to the finish line. You got to cross through that thing and celebrate. Like, you got to really land it and crush it. Those are the key things out of this list that I really wanted to touch on and amplify. And that's all I have. Thanks, everybody. I'm sorry you can't see me. I'm sorry you can't see me. I'm over here trying to duck out the way like Muhammad Ali. Thanks, Will.
Hey, man. Thanks. Appreciate it, Graylin.
Yep.
So if you guys have questions for Graylin, make sure to drop them in the chat. So we're actually running pretty short on time. So for the rest of the Microsoft presenters, if you can try to be as brief as possible. What I'll do is I'm going to cut short my panel discussion. And for the Q&A, I would like for all of the candidates that are logged in now, if you have questions, ask the questions in the chat. Microsoft people are on the call so they can answer some of the questions in the chat. And then whatever questions we are not able to get answered, we'll save the chat and then follow up with you guys via email. Okay. So with our next presenter is actually Francisco Aiza.
So, my name is Francisco Aiza, and I currently work as a senior engineer at the initiative.
Your audio is a little bit distorted.
Okay. Okay, how about now?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay. Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Francisco Aiza, and I currently work as a senior gameplay engineer at the initiative. For those of you that are not familiar with the initiative is a AAA studio that Microsoft is building from the ground up in the LA area. We can move on to the next slide. So I've been working at the initiative for about 6 or 7 months at this point. And prior to joining Microsoft on the initiative, I was working for Naughty Dog on Last of Us Part 2. And prior to that, I was working for quite a while on both Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. for Rockstar Games. I have a master's on computer engineering, really an engineer, but I also have a master's on video game development. How I got started was basically we participated on a contest, on a student contest to present an indie game, and the winner would get the sponsorship from Nintendo to just publish their game on their digital store. And that's how I started, just working with 5 friends on an indie game. And right about that time is when I got hired by Rockstar, so I moved from Spain to Scotland. And then eventually, I moved to Naughty Dog, so I moved all the way to California from Scotland. I also have a couple of publications that I did after my engineering masters. They basically revolve around machine learning in video games. And that's probably pretty much what I can tell you about me. Now, if we move on to the next slide. I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to try and be quick through this, but I thought I would give my 2 cents on what it is that we look on candidates and what it is that you can do that can help you out. So in general lines, what we're looking for is candidates that are very driven and passionate, that have a very strong foundation. It's very important, and I think it's been said in one way or another by previous presenters, that to have people that has good communication skills, that are very good team players. Because especially in the video game ecosystem, the teams are very big. The games keep getting bigger, and so lifting up your team and being a good team player is a very valuable skill. More particularly on the skills that you might need for, in particular, a gameplay or an AI engineer, and I talk about those two because my background is basically gameplay and AI. You guys want to be very strong in math, and in particular, linear algebra. You want to make sure that your programming skills are very solid. If it's C++ better, but it doesn't have to be. And finally, you've got to make sure that your foundations on computer science are very solid. So, know your data structures, know how memory operates, know how the cache memory operates, how CPUs, superscalar CPUs operates, and GPUs, all this sort of thing. Now, for the things that you can do, I have 3 in here, but the one that to me makes the most sense and is the one that's had the biggest impact for me and also for other candidates that we've interviewed is the value of side projects. So if you guys don't have a background on gaming, so if you've not had prior experience in gaming, but maybe experience on another field, it's very valuable to have side projects that show video games completed. They don't need to be big, In fact, if they're small, they're probably going to be better because what they're looking for is someone that can go beginning to end, making a game sort of polished, because that's going to prove that you guys know how to work with an engine, you understand the ins and outs of making video games. And especially finishing a game is much harder than starting it, so that's also very valuable. If you have prior experience in the gaming industry, or you want to have some other sort of side projects, it's very valuable to have things that can add up to. So any side project, it doesn't have to be too complicated. It can be like a memory allocator that's very efficient, or spatial structures that are used in games like quad trees or octrees, or maybe strategies for obstacle avoidance for AI. These things, they're for the employer, it's a way to show them that you know what you're talking about. Obviously, internships are very useful. And finally, any sort of involvement with industry events like GDC and CGRAV is always points up because everyone is looking forward to them, even the ones that we've been in the game for a long time. And it's a very good way to make connections and also to make yourself be seen. And that's probably about it. Try to be quick. If you guys have any questions at the end, by any means, just shoot. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Like you said, if you have questions, please drop those questions in the chat. And with that, we'll move on to our next presenter. So Adrian, if you're ready.
Yep.
Excellent.
Right.
So Adrian is an engineering manager, and I'll hand it over to you, sir.
Yeah, sure. I'll be quick. So I've been at Microsoft total 15 years now. I began in gaming, and I've been in gaming the entire time. I got started much like this in a recruiting event that came to my school. I contacted the recruiter. The interview, it wasn't specifically for games, but it just sort of worked out like that. I liked the group, so we've stayed. I have a growth mindset. Continued learning is really important. One of the benefits we have here is Microsoft will pay a certain amount of the continued education. and I've used that to pursue my passion for machine learning and AI. Next. So, I represent the studio's quality here today. We are a central team, and that means we get to work with all the internal teams, all the internal studios, right? So we are part of the Halo, Gears, Minecraft, all the internal studios. We get to work with them and partner with them to sort of transform the way we test games, right? And what that means specifically for us is a lot of innovation in many areas. We have software engineers that build tools that work on the latest technology. We have data scientists with background in statistics and deep learning. We have subject matter experts with deep knowledge of racing, flying, pro gamers. And sort of, we approach the pursuit of the highest quality from many angles, which allows us to explore our passions. I mentioned mine previously, which was machine learning. We incorporate all of that, and we come from it from a lot of different angles. And the next slide. And so, what we're looking for, or what I'm looking for when I look at a candidate is your ability to grow is more important than what you know when you come in the door. That growth mindset, you'll hear it over and over again at Microsoft. We need to stay focused and deliver on the promises that we make to our gamers and our colleagues. We stick to the mission. We have a break it before you, the public, buy it. We have to break it. So curiosity helps us catch what others would miss. And we're a gaming org, so gaming passion is important. But I want you to really think about what gaming means. It doesn't necessarily mean a shooter, right? Or an RTS. It could mean quite a bit of things. So a passion for gaming, you may not have it now, but something that we want you to develop. So, but rethink what you think gaming might mean. And I think the thing that's most important to me is less talking and more doing. Let's get to the action. And there you go. It's pretty quick.
Excellent. I appreciate it. And just a quick question: how big is your team?
So our team is multi-layered, but if you look across the whole spectrum, it's I don't know, 700-800 people in total. If you think of our core engineering, it's about maybe 120, 30, something around those lines. My particular team that I'm working on is sort of that data slice. So you've heard data services mentioned over and over again in a number of different teams. So we're developing that on the studio's quality side. How do we implement different advanced data techniques? How do we implement machine learning, AI? How do we do these types of things in our area? That's sort of what I'm personally responsible for.
Excellent. So if anyone has questions for Adrian, make sure to drop the questions in the chat. And with that, we'll move on to our next speaker. So our next speaker is Ron Brown, Quality of Life PM. So Ron, if you're ready.
I believe I am, good sir.
Yep, we can hear you. Thanks.
Give me the next slide, please. So first off, I'm gonna try to cover some personal information. I'm gonna do some studio information, and then I'm gonna give some insider advice for prospective developers. I'm gonna try to be as quick as possible on all of this. Give me the next slide, please. So my current role is Studio Quality of Life Program Manager for 343 Industries. So I am in fact working with Pierre over here on the Halo side of things, but I am probably a bit of an oddball on this call, as not much of my job involves tech in any way, shape, or form. The fact of the matter is I am something of a culture custodian here at 343. Our leadership team saw fit to have somebody have a permanent role that is responsible for studio morale, studio culture, diversity, inclusion initiatives, and philanthropic efforts. And so that is my entire job focus here at 343, working across teams on things like representation in games, things that we can do to make people feel comfortable within our studio, and making sure that we have a place for every voice that we have here. A couple of fun facts about me. Before this, I work as a play test coordinator for 343, coordinated some of our internal testing, also done educational software sales, and I was an aircraft mechanic for the United States Air Force at one point in time, a little Hub 234. Fun facts about me: I have made a complete trip around the globe, started on the East Coast of the United States and went back home via the West Coast, stopping at a bunch of different places on a mission for the military. And then also I own 200 of, actually it's approaching 300 pop culture shirts. That is actually a little elderly information. Currently rocking the Steven Universe garnet for all of the Steven Universe fans out there. And definitely shout out to the veterans in the call. Favorite games, Final Fantasy VII Till I Die. Persona 5 is also dope. Overwatch, and I may or may not have put a couple of sniper bullets in some folks in Halo. You can't prove that, but yeah. Give me the next slide, please. So I'm going to just speed bump right over 343 Industries in the interest of time. Founded by Bonnie Ross in 2007, responsible for the Halo game series. Obviously, the official first games for 343 Industries, Combat Evolved on the Bungie side of things, but Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition, which is a remake, a reskinning of Combat Evolved, the very first Halo game, and the first full game was a Halo 4. It's a pretty large studio, sitting at around 700 folks, including our contracted folks, which is just massive. And so really just kind of working with all of those people is great. And it's awesome to work in a studio that's actually like legit committed to diversity and inclusion. I know I'm a little bit biased because that's straight up my job, but the fact that they even wanted a position like this permanently says a lot about where our leadership team is as far as things like culture and morale in our studio. Give me the next slide, please. Let's see. So I love y'all all to death, but I don't actually have any good knowledge on what to bring to the table as far as like tech skills. Frankly, I'm somehow mystified that I'm in this role. So I thought what it was nice to do would be to give you some insider advice, things that I've heard of a lot of people say were super helpful in getting them in the gaming industry. So real quick, first off, do your homework. If you come in the door for an interview on something and you have no idea about the history of a company, the group that you're trying to work with, anything like that, you've already done yourself a disservice. At least know who it is that you're talking to. Look them up on LinkedIn, all stuff like that. Communication is key. Be open about, your current situation, the things that you do know, the things that you don't know. I've had a couple of interviews where, people have asked me questions. I was flat out like, I have no idea about that. And then you're like, you know what, we respect your honesty on that. Let me teach you something here in this interview. And some of these things were extremely eye-opening that I learned. But the fact of the matter is, people don't know where you stand if you don't communicate, and you won't know where other people stand if you don't communicate. Communication is top-notch thing that you need in all that you do. Don't be afraid to ask questions, especially ones that pertain to culture. The fact of the matter is, gaming as it stands currently, while it is changing, and I will give it props for that, gaming can be overwhelmingly white and overwhelmingly male. And the fact of the matter is, if we don't start asking some of these hard questions, especially at beginning stages of the process, it'll stay overwhelmingly white and overwhelmingly male despite our best efforts. So the fact is, when you go in the door, don't be afraid to ask those questions about the commitment that companies have to culture and to you as a person. If they want you to work for them, you're as much as an asset to them as they are to you. So be sure to bring those questions to the table. Make connections. The gaming industry is very insular. So I actually started off as a contractor here at 343, and I was doing a completely unrelated job to this. And just through a lot of my connection building and what have you, I managed to convince people, for better or worse, that this was a role that I was well suited for. I will never forget the day I was leaving my contract in a job. I didn't know if I was going to get this role. I'd interviewed, but I didn't know if I was going to get the role. And I was going out the door, somebody was like, there has never been a person that I've worked with that I haven't worked with at some other point in time in gaming. And that one really stuck with me. And it was ironic that just a month or so later, I was back in the building working with that same guy on 343. So take that with whatever consideration you will. Lastly, be yourself. This is, if you just gun in my head, is the only advice I could give you. Be yourself. Bring who you are to the table. I try to do that every day with who I am and what I do, because in the end, and you can give me the next slide, I think gaming is a reflection of us. Gaming is a reflection of gamers. And there are a lot of great stories. I got a couple of characters of color on the screen right now that reflect who I am. But these stories can't be told by people who aren't us. And so somebody asks, what's a thing that we're doing to make sure that when everybody plays, everybody wins? On my end, my everyday commitment is to make sure that when gaming is on the table, you hear my voice. You see who I am. I'm somewhere in the mix, even if it's a little bit of thing here that I might have influenced. You know that I was present in those stories that are being told. And at the end of the day, I think that's what keeps all of us connected to gaming, is just being able to see our reflection in gaming. And so that's the thing I hope all of you can bring to the industry when y'all get in here. I got high hopes for y'all. So that's my spiel. I'm going to give it back to you, Will.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's excellent. So our next speaker, just for the sake of time, I know we're pretty much at the limit, but we've got some really good information. So I'll go ahead and move on to the next speaker. And our next speaker is Luis Augusto Angel Mex.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me all right? I'm gonna assume yes. Okay, good. Yeah, so I'm Luis. Hi, I'm very, very excited to be here. And yeah, so my current role is I'm an engineering leader in all the content and quality system, code, content, and quality system pipelines for Turn10 Studios. So essentially, the team I manage handles all the engineering systems that allow all the content our artists create and all the code that's created by other developers to essentially be merged together into the magic that is Forza Motorsport. And so that means that we have to be collaborating constantly with 3D creators. We have to be collaborating constantly with multiple other engineering disciplines. We have to be constantly in touch with designers and a bunch of other different groups across the studio, right? I've had previous experience on as an engineering lead both in Minecraft as well as on Xbox avatars. And before that, I actually landed in the gaming organization at Microsoft. I started via basically applying for a role in Xbox.com. And so, I had previous experience working on web elsewhere in Microsoft. And then I didn't have any gaming experience, but there was a role on web on Xbox.com. And I'm like, hey, I have experience in web, so maybe I can do something like that. And it turned out that role had to do with graphics and rendering, because we were bringing Xbox avatars into the web. And so I learned some from there, right? And then after that, there was another opportunity that was about, hey, now we're doing this, but also for mobile. And I'm like, I don't know anything about mobile, but I know about rendering and graphics, so maybe I'll try that out as well. And so I work on avatars for mobile, and that's been essentially my career, just like trying to find common ground, or applying my experience and then trying to discover something new. And recently, as a manager, I've been essentially on, very focused also on building inclusive and diverse teams. And I know in this call, there's multiple people across all stages in career, anywhere from fresh out of college all the way to multiple years of experience. And I brought people, with all those different backgrounds in the team via, normal college pipeline, as well as some pipelines like the LEAP program that was being mentioned elsewhere in the chat. And so it's always been like fantastic collaborating with everyone. So let's go to the next one. So Turn10 Studios, so we make Forza Motorsport, which basically, you know, our goal is to immerse players into the thrill of competitive racing, and as in broader terms, you know, we want to build a great automotive entertainment franchise over the next few years. So that's why we're expanding. You know, we have the Horizon experience, which is a little more fun and open world. We have now also Forza Street that's on mobile devices, and so we're expanding the franchise. And we have to balance that realistic feeling that motorsport brings, as well with, you know, the cutting edge look and feel, and still make it approachable so we can reach, you know, as many gamers as we can, right? And as part of that, our studio culture is very focused on attracting and retaining, you know, best and brightest from all backgrounds, and also make sure that those voices are actually you know, elevated, and that we all collaborate. So let's go to the next one. And so what we look for is essentially, yes, we need strong skills in whichever field of expertise you are, you know, engineering, art, design, management, business, etc., right? But we also want to make sure that all the FTEs that go into the studio have the potential and desire to grow and learn from everyone. You should be able and open to learn both from people that have had many years in the industry, as well as, you know, people that are just starting, right? And as I mentioned, you know, my team in particular, we collaborate with lots of the different disciplines across studio. But I think that's true for pretty much every team in the studio. We're always, you know, artists need to understand engineering needs to understand our processes. We need to collaborate with production to hit, you know, realistic timelines, as well as quality on our deliverables. And so we need to be respectful, and we need to be empathetic and open to ideas that come from different disciplines, right? And also, you know, as a studio and as part of the culture, we need to be always trying to balance progress and perfection, which is challenging, and make sure that as part of that we can also you know, like, create a supportive software development culture that can basically foster a good long-term career path, right? We don't want to burn down people. We want to make sure we are responsible developers. We want to make sure that we balance, you know, release timelines and commitments with the quality of life for all of us, so we can actually balance work and life, and then be able to have long-term successful careers, and not just burn people out, you know, and bring more people to burn them out again. So we want to have we want to build a positive experience for everybody in the studio. Yeah, so I think that's all.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it. So that was Luis. If you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. But with that, we'll move on to our next presenter, which is Prince Arrington.
Will, you got me? I'm good?
Yes, sir. Quality Assurance Director.
No doubt. So I hope everybody's doing all right out there, taking care of yourselves. It's crazy time right now. Please be safe. But yes, my name is Prince. That is my real name, and I'm the Quality Assurance Director at the Coalition, known for Gears of War, in beautiful but currently overcast Vancouver, British Columbia. Because we're short on time, I'm going to kind of go through this faster than planned. So I'm going to change it up a bit and talk about my journey in the game, since it may resonate with some of y'all, and touch on what I look for in interviewing after that. So my journey in the games. For me, personally, I fell into the industry. I didn't know anything about making games before I got into it. Games just magically appeared in the store to me, in my mind anyway. But my actual plan was to go to medical school to be a radiologist or an anesthesiologist. My dad was a dentist. I grew up around doctors, dentists, lawyers, engineers. So I assumed my path would be similar because that's what I saw every day. So I went the pre-med route in my junior year. My son was born. He's 26 now, so I just dated myself. So I quit school to raise him while my wife was in med school because we couldn't afford daycare. So after 3 years of that, which was wonderful, and a divorce later, I went back to school to finish. But what I learned from my wife's experience is that I did not want to go to medical school. It just wasn't me. It did not feel right. So I started taking computer science classes, but I decided to finish my psych degree because I was close to being done anyway. So once I graduated, I started a job at a startup. But what I learned from that is I did not like writing code. So I spent all that time in school and I did not like what I was doing, but what I found is I liked breaking code. So I quit that job, started for looking something that matched my passion. So I saw that Ubisoft or Red Storm Entertainment was hiring, and I loved Rainbow Six Rogue Spear. So I decided to give it a shot until I found a real job. That was 20 years ago, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I've traveled the world on the company dime, which is even better. I've hung out with and become friends with celebrities, and I've been able to do what I love for a living for a very long time. So that's the short version of my story. So now to the good stuff that you care about most. I'm just going to touch on these. There are no order of importance, but I'm just going to touch on a few that I think are important. So for me, potential is huge. I'm generally meeting people that are either very young at the beginning of their career, or they're just looking for a career change, or sort of some combination therein. So, therefore I try to focus on their potential versus where they are now, because I know they don't know what they don't know. And the biggest part about this is it requires an investment in each person. Now I'm going to skip down to strong interpersonal skills, because this is a biggie for me. Part of QA is our job, basically, a part of it anyway, is to tell people that their baby is ugly. But you have to do it in such a way that they don't want to punch you in the face. This is an art form, and I can't stress this enough. If you're worried about your interpersonal communication skills, that's something to work on. You can't work on that too much. Accountability, not excuses. This is more about owning your mistakes, right? Like, you're going to make mistakes constantly especially if you have a growth mindset, which Adrian talked about earlier. You're going to hear about a lot. But the goal is to turn these mistakes into learning experiences. Fearless in the ideation phase. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because I have a policy in my team of best idea wins. So if you have an idea or a process change that's better than what we already have, then we invest in that. But in order to have a growth mindset, I personally feel like you have to be willing to take those risks and worry more about the positive impact of your idea versus the ways that it might fail. I want to touch on anti-status quo and pushing the envelope. So for me personally, and I can't speak for everybody else, but comfort is the enemy of innovation. So I love people that are constantly tinkering. I'm a tinkerer. I love people that tinker in the same way. Thinking about, how can I make this more efficient? How can I test this with fewer people? How can we make reporting automated versus manual? Just trying to think of ways to make things better. Always be innovating. And those are the ones I just want to touch on really quickly. I'm going to reiterate Graylin's no a-hole policy. But to be clear, I did not copy Graylin. This is a policy that I had before I saw Graylin's slide. But it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's worth mentioning. Like, you can be the best engineer, tester, whatever, but if you're an a-hole, like, it's a hard pass for me and like most people in the industry. So with that, I know we're short on time, so I'm going to end there. But my name is Prince. I'm the Quality Assurance Director at the Coalition. If you have any questions or want to touch base, I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn, but reach out to any of the organizers and I'm happy to chat whenever. But just remember, I'm on West Coast time. My mom never remembers I'm 3 hours behind. So just keep that in mind in terms of if you're waiting for a response. And I just want to send a shout out real quick to Will for setting this up. I really wish something like this existed when I was graduating. So, big up, man. And that's my time. Appreciate it.
Yeah. This, for me, it's also a big deal. And I know we're running a little bit over, but I mean, for this event, normally when we do our physical events, the physical events are 3 hours in the evening anyway. It's just that with the virtual, they tend to be shorter. But for how anticipated this event was with our audience, what kind of opportunity this is, for most of us, we've never even heard of an event targeting Black or African American professionals to get into gaming. And Microsoft is the perfect company to partner with on that. So with that, last but not least, I have Sax Person. So Sax, if you're ready.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect.
Firmly into overtime. I'm Sax. I am the Chief Creative Officer for Moting Studios, the makers of Minecraft. Skip a couple. There you go. So my entry into the industry is, like everybody, like a very individual journey. Feels very unconventional, but when you start working in games, you get to know that like successful people in the games industry have diverse backgrounds. I'm from Denmark. I went to business school. but programmed on the side and decided to just give this game thing a try 27 years ago when I moved to Boston. So I've been 11 years with Microsoft. I've been a programmer. I'm a creative director, game director, channel manager, and currently a partner at Microsoft in the studio. And I'm a parent. With being 27 years in the industry comes like getting perspective and sort of seeing the industry grow up, but you also get to introduce the next generation into games, and it's really what's made my journey like really special for me. So next slide, please. There you go. So what is Minecraft? I'm going to do this super fast since we're short on time, but I think Minecraft is a pretty good like indicator on like what games are becoming. Like Minecraft is generational. Like it's 11 years old. Like people that grew up with Minecraft are having kids, are introducing their kids to it. The average age of people that play Minecraft are 27 years old. Average age of introduction to Minecraft, 5 years old. So we span like a huge amount. We're global. We played on every country on Earth. We have telemetry confirming that we're played on Antarctica every month. At least 7 people are playing on the Antarctic continent. We're creative. Like there's no wrong way to play the game, and there's no wrong way to make the game. We have every discipline that you can think of on the team, and the idea of sort of like this basement dweller mentality of making games is long over. Minecraft is made with 700 people now internally, and over 1,000 people collaborating with us externally. It's a platform, like it's an entrepreneurial platform. There's tens of thousands of people that make the living on Minecraft as a platform, and it's a giving back to the world, like build a better world. We work with the United Nations on projects all over the world in sort of extending games into being what liberates people and what gives people a voice in areas where they usually wouldn't have a voice. So the next one. So what do we look at when we think about a team? Like when we want to add new people to the team, like we look through like the normal lens of like, do you have like background school, all that stuff. But really, generally, what it ends up being is much more about, do you seek impact? Like when you talk to us, does it look like you're there because you want to make a difference? Do you have a skill or perspective that like we always use this lens because it breaks down the idea of you have to have experience, like 20 years in the games industry, but much more so, do you have something specific that you want to bring to it, like from your community, from your background, from your platform? Do you have energy? Like there's nothing accomplished if you put in and we can't give you energy. I think like coming and showing that, no, I know what I want to do. I want impact, but I have the energy to also go do it. Purpose-driven, meaning you know why you do things, not just you do them, but you know why. If you work on something as big as Minecraft, that has as long history as Minecraft, and same with Halo, same with Gears, like part of that is understanding why you do things. Are you entrepreneurial? Like you see an opening, you go for it. Like you always are the one that tell us what direction we should go in, and you help us sort of take that next step we always want to be. All that sort of sums it up, that you understand that like the transformational power of games and the transformational power of Minecraft in particular, in my case. But the idea that games are much more so than entertainment, like they have become, for some people, a lifeline, for some people, therapy, for some people, like this is where your social circle connects. And as such, like we have to think about like the total spectrum of where, how games are being used. Go to the next one. So like what is not a requirement? It was mentioned a couple of times, so it's worth repeating. Like you don't have to be a gamer. We have a ton of people on the team that came in with very, very diverse backgrounds, but they're there because like they believe in the power of Minecraft. You don't have to be an expert. Tons of people don't know how to play the game. Like they generally learn it on the job, but it's not a requirement. You don't have to be the Xbox demographic. 18 to 35 male is sort of generally like the stereotypical Xbox demographic of the past, but that's just not true anymore. Like for Minecraft in particular, we are on 20 different platforms. I work with Nintendo, Sony, Apple, Google, Facebook, like every single major first party, and every single one of them, like of our players, like demand that the game show up on their platform the way they would want to play it. And as such, like we make a team that's as diverse as that. You don't have to live in Redmond. Like if you're following the news, like Microsoft announced like very flexible work policies now, and we believe like a big big part of us like expanding our recruiting pipeline and being attractive to new prospective team members is saying, for the right circumstance, like we will allow you to work remote and just become part of the team, but not necessarily physically. And you don't have to traditional background and experience. Like we have principal level dev managers that never graduated college. We have principal level PMs that never graduated college. I think it's much more about those qualities of want to have an impact and have the energy and the purpose to drive that through. That's what we really look for. So with that, I think that is the end of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sax. Appreciate it. So we ran a little bit over on time, but I wanted to make sure that we were at least able to get through all of the presenters. Hopefully you guys were able to ask questions in the chat. But before we close up, I wanted to make sure to quickly go over some of the next steps, because as you guys may or may not know, you probably do know if you got the communication from me via email about this event, that this is an intentional hiring event, and we want you guys to consider opportunities with Microsoft Gaming. So if you don't have already the interview interest link, there's a form that you can fill out to indicate that you are interested in interviewing with Microsoft. I will email it out right after we get off of this call. You can fill out that form. Your information will be shared with our team member, Jeff Sparks, for review. And then you may be able to actually land an interview with the team that is hiring within Microsoft Gaming, or the teams that are hiring. So with that, I'd like to offer the closing remarks to Pierre, if you're still connected.
I am. I was in the process of replying to a question from Eric Briggs. Look, I think you've seen a wide spectrum of representatives from Xbox, and I think it is really important to understand that Xbox is more than just another Microsoft division. Within Microsoft, I find the people I met there are incredibly special to me in many respects, because we're all united by the love of making amazing experiences for other people. That combined with the culture which we have created and continue to create, where we're focusing on personal development, personal growth. Ron mentioned the growth mindset. Gray mentioned, self-development, self-wealth. And that combined with the opportunity we've been given as representing a minority in this field is second to none. My experience brought me from Sega to EA Sports to Sony, and at Microsoft is the first time that I really realized there is more to it making games. It is using our positions there and our involvement as a platform for change, and a platform for getting other people into the worlds which we, by luck, by skill, by mentorship, ended up to be. So that's my final word.
Thanks, Pierre. And thanks for everyone that has joined us. We know that a lot of you guys are very skilled, gainfully employed professionals in tech. So we want to thank you guys for taking out the time to learn more about Microsoft Gaming. But again, kudos to Microsoft, Xbox Gaming, and the team for taking the time out to present to HBCU Connect's members. We're looking forward to hearing the good news about interviews and folks joining the team. And again, can't say enough kudos to your team. Out of all of the companies that are out there that are in the gaming space, this is the first time that that we've done an event for a gaming particular organization. Though we've done lots of different recruitment events. So thank you guys for opening the door to more diverse candidates. And like I said, we look forward to hearing your team expanding with this talent. So for all of the candidates, I will email you guys the interview interest form. If I don't have your resume already, I'll give you instructions for sending over your resume. And with that will adjourn our meeting for today. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you so much.